Hey everybody, MM777 here, coming at you with something a little bit different today. This video is going to be a knife review. Yeah, that's right, I've never done this before. And in general, I'm not a huge knife guy. I'm not a collector. I don't have a ton of knives, but I am a guy, so therefore I do like knives. And usually I roll one into my EDC system. I usually have a blade with me, a couple in the car, so on and so forth. Nothing too fancy. Just utility blades, whatever gets the job done. Usually $50 and under blades. I got maybe 8, 10 different knives. Ones that I think are kind of cool I pick up. So, I was on YouTube the other day checking out some of my other subscriptions, and I came across a video of a guy talking about this knife that he picked up that he thought was pretty cool. And he talked about it, so I went ahead and jumped on eBay and picked one up for myself. And here's the knife. It's called the Sanrenmu 710. The name of the company is Sanrenmu. S-A-N-R-E-N-M-U. Now, it's a Chinese company, but here's the interesting thing. The guy's talking about it, and he said the knife is about $10. And and he's saying it's a pretty decent knife, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. A $10 knife, come on, it's a piece of shit. So I went ahead and hopped on eBay and looked around, and sure enough, you can get them for about $10, including shipping. Now, most of them ship, or pretty much all of them ship from overseas, directly from China or Hong Kong. I searched and searched on eBay, and eventually I found a guy that had some in the U.S. and was shipping them from the U.S. I figured it would be shorter to ship, so I went in and got it for there. So I paid $12. That's including shipping, $12. So what does this thing retail for, like $7? So I got this thing as kind of a joke. I'm like, what is it? $12 including shipping. What am I going to get? Just a cheap knife. So I got it. I got it home. I opened it up. And wow, I got to tell you, I'm surprised. Surprised enough that I'm actually making a knife review video about it just to kind of share it with people. First off, I pull it out of the box and I open it up, and the lockup's rock solid, up and down, left and right. It was a little stiff. The deployment was a little stiff right out of the box. And I'm like, huh. So I looked, and to my surprise, and this is the first feature, it's got an adjustable pivot point. Something that I really didn't expect to see on like a $10 knife. But there it is, adjustable pivot point. So I took out my Torx and made a little adjustment. And what do you know, I got it going really smooth. So, I got a little blood on the finger there. So I kept looking. Let me go down the... well, first of all, obviously this is a Chinese knife. The other YouTube user that I was looking at said the knife was a knockoff of a Sebenza design. So I pulled up the Sebenza design he was talking about, and sure enough, the handle is very similar. It looks like what they did is they kind of copied the shape of the handle pretty much. However, the blade shape's quite a bit different. And what I found out is that the company Sanrenmu is a legitimate company. They've been in business for about 12 years in China. They got a great website, quite a few different knives. Here's the package that the knife came in. They're not trying to knock off anything. In fact, this is a fairly common design shape. I mean, it looks like quite a few other knives. The handle looks a lot like the Sebenza, but the blade's different. But they're not trying to knock off anything. They got their own logo stamped on there. They got their own names. They're not trying to claim to be anything else. They're just a Chinese company that makes quality knives, in my opinion. So let me run down some of the features. Now remember, this is a $10 knife. $10 with shipping. First off, adjustable pivot point. Secondly, I was really surprised to see this. It has mini Torx construction. First of all, it's a flow-through design, or a pillar construction. It's a frame lock, but it's mini Torx constructed, so you can actually take it apart. It's not riveted together like a cheap knife would be. Again, really surprising for a $10 knife to see mini Torx construction. The frame lock is quite robust, I think. You can kind of see it's a fairly thick piece of metal for the frame lock. I didn't do a bunch of spine wax on it to test it. It's just an EDC blade anyway. I don't need, tremendous strength, but it's pretty strong. I mean, you can tell. It's nice and stiff in terms of the lock. It actually has a ball detent for blade retention. You can see right there. So blade retention is great. Adjusted the pivot point, got it going nice and smooth. The thumb studs are surprisingly, they're nice. They're nice. You can get a great purchase on them. They actually got some sharp edges for you to dig into. It actually has, again, on a $10 knife, phosphor bronze bushings in there in the pivot point to help with the deployment. Let's see what else it has. Here's a shocker on a $10 knife. It actually has jimping. And not just aesthetic jimping, it's actually fairly sharp and purposeful. You can actually make some use out of the jimping. The choil's nice, and it kind of locks in nice. Now, right along the last little part of the jimping actually kind of falls below the shoulder of the scales there. I wish it were a little higher, but like I said, $10 knife, what are you going to do? The pocket clip carries nice and deep, and it's mounted about as high as it can get on that end. You can't adjust the pocket clip, unfortunately, but it does carry tip down, and what I would consider a right-handed configuration, which is exactly how I carry my blades anyway. So, not a deal breaker considering, again, $10 with shipping that you can get this thing for. But one of the cooler things about it is the feel. It's not a light knife, 3 1/4 ounces. It's got a 2.7 inch blade, but it's unbelievably fast to deploy. The speed of it is, well, here, let me compare. I'll roll in a couple other knives. Spyderco Tenacious, which is a fairly fast deploying. Spyderco Persistence, again, not too slow. And those are manual, and again, this is a manual opening. But let me roll in a Kershaw Oso Suite. This is an assisted opening knife, and is a fairly fast opener. I would say that this blade is just as fast as that, even though it's manual, if not faster. I mean, once you get used to exactly where to push, it's just a simple flick, and it's lightning fast deploy. Again, something. $10 knife, come on, I was surprised to see that. 3 1/4 ounces again, blade 2.7 inches long. Great shape, I love the blade shape. It's a hollow ground blade. Great feel to the knife, great balance. Alignment with the blade close is nice and straight. The finish is good looking. It's not cheap, it's got this little rough textured here, which really doesn't add much. It's almost more aesthetic than anything else. And this is something else that's surprising. According to the website, it has 8CR13 MOV blade steel. Now, on a $10 knife, I would have been happy with, AUS 8 or even AUS 6. I mean, it's a $10 knife. What are you going to get? But 8CR13 MOV, I was kind of shocked. I know that's not a real high-end blade steel, but it's a good blade steel. I've been rocking it on this Persistence and Tenacious, and I love it. It sharpens easily. It holds an edge well. It's a decent blade steel that you would kind of expect to see on sort of like a medium quality knife, not a high quality one. It's not VG10 or anything like this, but on a $10 knife, I'm like, wow, come on. I was really surprised to see that. So another great benefit. It's got a lanyard hole if you're actually going to use that. But overall, I mean, it's a Chinese knife. I mean, if you want to buy American made, I understand that and don't want to go into Chinese. But if you're looking for something cheap, I mean, you can pick these things up. The company makes quite a few knives. You can check out their website. They got quite a few different designs, and maybe I'll pick up a couple more. But for $10, I mean, you could throw this in your car, in the glove box, whatever, thrash on it. No big deal. You don't have to worry about it. And it's a quality knife. Again, adjustable pivot points, mini Torx construction, solid frame lock, ball detent for the blade retent, for the blade close, phosphor bronze bushings, good thumb stud, nice pocket clip, nice look to it, Great blade shape, good blade steel. I'd put it this way. If I spent $50 on this knife, I wouldn't have been disappointed. But I didn't. I spent $12, and that's including shipping. So I'm just blown away that you can get a knife this decent for so cheap. And like I said, I'm not a huge knife guy. You know, I have some inexpensive knives. Here's a Kershaw Chill. Just EDC blade. I usually just have a blade with me. I've got some Victorinox Cadet. I usually have one of those with me. Just, you know, I throw a knife in my pocket. It's just part of my EDC system. And this one's a nice one to have for the price. I like the look of it. I was surprised. Surprised enough that I actually made a blade review just to tell people it's worth checking out. Again, the name of it is the Sanrenmu 710. Sanrenmu is the name of the company. You can Google it and go right to their website. According to the back, it says, where is it? It's got a 3-month warranty. So, there you go. You can go ahead and get the warranty. This is the model 710. And it's worth checking out. I'd recommend checking it out for $10, $12. You can't go wrong with it. You're not going to be disappointed. Before I end, let me do a couple close-ups of it. Get up here and not that you need to see every detail. Let me get these out of the background here. A surprisingly decent knife for 10 to 12 bucks. And the heft of it, I can tell you, I haven't used it for a long period of time, but I don't think it's something that's going to wear out. It just doesn't feel cheap. It feels well built. So, it's pretty cool. Check one out if you want a cheap little, decent little knife. This is MM777. I'm out.